12,000 into a pot of 12,000. So Tweedy wasn't exactly getting the correct pot odds to draw for that 8 or king. But should he hit an 8 or a king?
It's a straight flush! A straight flush for Yanni Sointula! He has to check now.
He's got to check.
He's got a straight flush. Holy Toledo. I don't think we've seen one of these in this tournament
You
so
say
far.
he has to check. He's not checking.
16,000.
How much did he put in now?
I think the bet is 16.
16,000. He's made it a smallish bet. He obviously feels that Tweedy must have some part of that flop. But he'd be gutted if he now folded.
I mean, I guess from Tweedy's point of view, if Yanni doesn't have the flush, then he's drawing pretty live, you know.
Yes, but also, I think, if Sointula had known what Tweedy had, I think he would have checked to try and get him to catch up.
Call.
Or perhaps he's worried about another spade coming in and slowing up, but he's got him now. You can't believe how poker goes. It's two people on the trot are being sucked in.
If it comes a king or an 8.
That could be a helpful card in a way. That could help him.
Sointula is praying that Tweedy was calling on the bare ace of spades, that's for sure.
Well, now he's got to hope he's got the bare ace of spades, so he might as well bet.
Tell you, when you have a queen high flush and the 4th spade comes to the board, you do check one more time to make sure that it really is a straight flush, don't you?
Yes, and I thought he was going to put in a little tiddly bet there, hoping that the guy was going to come over the top.
24,000. Pass.
Sointula takes it. Will he show it? He will. A straight flush. A big smile from Yanni. He priced it well on the turn there. If he checks the turns, he gets nothing.
Unlucky there.
But, wow, big hands we've seen so far.
Unlucky because you haven't got the
And Tweedy will have to think about his short stack now.
Yeah, you're right.
The lesson to be learned in many ways is that even if you've got a big hand, checking doesn't necessarily get any money out of the opposition. And in a way, you've got to hope that the opposition has got something. But there, again, you're not going to win any money if you've got nothing in the first place. So you might as well bet the right amount in order to try and get the guy to follow you.
It's so true. It's probably a mistake a lot of people make. They think their hand is so big they can't bet, but that's the only way to get money in the pot.
Well, talking of a situation where you could have slow played the hand, that was one, and you still don't slow play it. It shows that slow playing sometimes would not work. Gialis with a hand of sorts.
8,000 total. Pass.
The second time he's
Pass.
raised with just a king.
Pass.
I'll tell you, this is only the 7th hand of this match, and we've already seen
Pass.
some fantastic stuff. And Gialis hasn't been involved in any big pots, but he's clearly willing. He doesn't appear to be the kind of guy who needs big tickets only to play. I think Andy Pyra was mentioning to Peter Gialis that he's had the big blind twice, and both times Gialis has raised his big blind. Says, I noticed if you didn't.
From an unconventional position, the first person to have to put money into the pot is the raiser. Usually it's around by that button. With a few chips behind him.
Total.
All of a sudden, Gianni gets
Pass.
busy with the 6-7.
Well, it's interesting,
Pass.
isn't it? He started off so tight, folding ace, queen, another big hand, and as soon as
Pass.
Andy doubled up, it's like Sointula's off to the races here.
Well, I think he's been sort of encouraged by getting ahead of that 100,000. He's off to a flying start. Things seem to be going well. Perhaps you can afford to take a few risks if you're above your starting stack. The psychology of being above and below can sometimes change a person's perspective.
Yeah, and he seems like the kind of guy who likes to get his chips in first. He likes to be the first raiser in the pot rather than the caller, I guess. That was true in his heat.
Proof of the situation where he folded the ace-queen very early on. 6-7 of clubs, nowhere near as good, but when you're first to put your money in, it's a different equation. Now Clayton gets something. Everybody's having some cards here.
Raise.
There's
7,000
no hanging
total.
about. And
Oh no, that's danger for Tweedy.
it is, because it looks like a very big hand, doesn't it?
Yes.
All in.
Oh
You raise all
no,
in.
desperation because he was a bit low on chips. 67,000. But it's a big bet.
Pass.
Well, he's raised 60. Oh, my.
Oh, dear. What a decision now. A raise and an all-in with queens. What's going through his mind?
Tweedy's in terrible trouble because if Peter doesn't call, Dave surely will. But this re-raise is 60,000.
He looked at his watch there. I think he's wondering what train he could get if it all goes wrong.
What do you do if you're Peter here?
Well, he's got to realise that there's been a raise and a re-raise, and he's got to ask himself the question: what have these lads got? One of them must be beating me. Is the question that springs to mind. We know that's not necessarily the case, and actually it's in a pretty good position, especially as there's two aces out. But he could be forgiven for throwing these away if he wants to protect his chips.
I'll tell you the amazing thing: if DeJalis goes all in here, Clayton may just fold, and which would put Tweedy in a better spot, actually.
Yeah, slightly better, yeah. Well, we've only got two cards to hit and 2 aces left.
Pass.
And he folded them.
Wow.
That's a big fold. If he'd have seen the cards, perhaps he wouldn't have done.
And Steve, one of those decisions that clearly you make different in this tournament where 3 go through instead of 1. 1 goes through, he calls with the queens for sure.
Call.
Yeah, it's much more of a gamble if you can only get one spot. Well, Clayton's got a massive amount of chips to call.
Because he's not guaranteed to call here.
He's going to have a count up.
Can you imagine?
67th, he's called.
Oh, yes, I said if Darren Tweedy
Yeah, yeah,
could
no,
get
no,
both
no,
these
no.
guys off the head. But actually, like you say, Tweedy actually is in a better spot here. He's got 3 jacks to hit instead of 2 aces, right? And he's all in. But this pot is huge. I think he's about 3 to 1 again, Steve.
Well, he won't be happy, and Clayton will be very happy with what he's seen there. 137,000 size pot. Well, a 9 and 8 helps the straight that he may have to make with the jack. That's an outside chance, of course.
Darren Tweedy is on his face. This semi-final is looking to be very speedy. If the jack doesn't hit, actually, there's a bunch of split pots out there now. Any 8, any 9. That's what Tweedy needs. 8, 9, or jack. That deuce is an ugly duckling on the river.
Yeah.
And this car salesman is out in 5th. What a result. Darren Tweedy all in with the ace-jack. Clayton had but to call with the ace-king. And the pair of 4s with the ace-king kicker wins the money, takes us down to 5. And this would be all over if Peter Jallis had called with the queens. But that's for a poker story. Well, Darren, there were some really big hands being dealt out on that table. Straight flush, pair of aces, ace-king.
All against me, it seems.
It did seem like that. Did you have a game plan going in to accumulate chips?
I was very nervous going into this one. In my mind, I wanted to play it safe and see what happened. And then the first guy went out, and that was all bonus then for me. Yeah, I'm an internet qualifier. These guys play for these kind of stakes all the time. For me, it's huge.
When the first guy got knocked out, you basically got paid $2,500 just for being sitting there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Bit of spending money on a holiday. And that was it. You know, I'm going to get ace-jack there. I'd just taken a huge hit with the straight flush. And, you know, I thought, well, it's got to be worth a punt.
Call me crazy, but there's a wrench in the works. 4 at this table, and someone's going to get the rotten egg. Hellraiser's looking serious. Clayton is the rock, but it could all come down to the piranha, who's capable of anything.
No one to play with? There's always PartyPoker.com.